How you doing? This is John and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at Moon Knight number 14, 50 cents. This is 1981 Marvel Comics Group. Okay, I'm doing Moon Knight for a few reasons. Because there's a TV show coming up and I thought we'd talk about the character. And second, I just want to show some more of Bill Sienkiewicz's artwork, show you that he has different styles. This is a classic comic. I remember when this came out. I got this off the stands. You can see it's a little beat up. I don't know how, but I have two other copies of like almost a full two other copies of Moon Knight's run. So this is from the classic Doug Moench, Bill Sienkiewicz run of Moon Knight. This is just a phenomenal, legendary run. Okay, Janice Chiang is the letterer. Christy Steele is the colorist, Denny O'Neil editor, Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. I always talk about Denny O'Neil, but I usually talk about him in Batman. But he went over to DC after this, and he became the custodian for Batman. And this was like a dry run, being that Moon Knight is kind of like a Batman kind of rip-off homage character, or whatever you want to say. We already know the date. That's December 1981. So nice splash page here. Okay, let's take a look at this comic. If you saw my Electra Assassin video a couple of days ago, you'll see that the art of Mr. Sienkiewicz is very subdued and more traditional comic booky in this, rather than the abstract art that he uses in Electra Assassin. These days, Bill Sienkiewicz cannot be reined in. His artwork is just way out there. But I guess this is like before his legendary superstardom. And I like it. It's dark, it's moody, and it fits, And here we have a decommissioned church. And so very dark. And this, I don't know why I just blanked on words. But this is stained glass Scarlet. She lives in this church. And she's been living there for a while. And part of me thinks that this story is hokey, and part of me thinks this story is wonderful. It's a little bit of both, and you'll see why. But here's this beautiful, glamorous woman from like the 40s. Like, I always think of her as like Rita Hayworth or something like that. And she lives in this dark church, and you'll see why. And then here she's just roaming. She's like a almost like a ghost, just haunting this church, playing the organ. Sleeping, like dressing like, again, like Rita Hayworth or whatever. And what she do, every night she goes through these books, and she looks at her deceased husband, who I think he robbed something and then hid the money and was killed by the police. So he never even got the money, and he was killed in this church. So that's why she lives in this church. And then her son is in prison, and he's just a lunatic. He's Mad Dog Fasanera. So her name is Scarlet Fasanera, and he escapes prison. So he's out, and he's looking for his father's treasure. So it's I don't know, whatever you want to say. It's kind of like gothic, old-fashioned, and hokey, and like, I don't know, comic booky at the same time. So she's just a tortured woman. She lost her husband, she lost her son, and she's just I don't know, mentally disturbed. And here we have, this is Marlene, and this is Mark Spector. This is Moon Knight, and this is his girlfriend. Now, this is before Moon Knight developed all those powers. So this is just pure human Moon Knight, and he adopts different personas, but I don't think he's particularly crazy yet. They play up the mental illness later on, but this is just, he adopts personas, just like Batman takes on Matches Malone, and nobody calls Batman. Well, but they call Batman crazy, but they're not saying he's schizophrenic because he adopts different personas. But this is him as Mark Spector. This is rich mercenary, or maybe no, she calls him Steven. She prefers him as Stephen Grant. So when he's home in the house with Marlene, he goes by the name Stephen Grant. Excuse me with the freaking cough. And then he goes out, when he's the tough guy, he's Mark Spector. And then when he's the cabbie, he's Jake Lockley. So now they're talking about they're having a nice conversation about music and books, stuff like that, and just staying at home and spending some time with the girl. And this is she's playing the piano. He's hit it maestro. This I always remembered. It's not Mozart. It's not my mouth. It's not Mozart nor Liszt, which issues from her fingertips. It's instead a tune called "In My Life" from an album called Rubber Soul by a group, the Beatles. The dream is over. John Lennon is dead. I'm down, the Beatles once sang. I'm shot, he said, falling for the last time. Guns. The radio, Stephen, I can't play anymore. Better put on a radio. So, this was written, John Lennon was shot in 1980, and this is December 1980. So this was, I think the script was written right after John Lennon was shot, and they put in a little tribute to John Lennon in this comic. It's kind of touching. In My Life is probably my favorite Beatles song, up there in the top 3 Beatles songs. So there was just a little tribute to John Lennon in this, and it's just like the overall tone of this particular comic is sadness, grief, and loss. That's the theme of this particular issue. I didn't catch that when I was a kid when I first read it, and I read this over and over and over again. So here they turn on a radio and they're finding that Mad Dog Fascinator is just blasting his way downtown. So he's like, I'm on it. And, look at the backgrounds that don't exist. It's almost difficult to picture this and the Electric Assassin as the same artist, but it is. And it's all him, But the Electric Assassin, he had as much time as he needed to do that artwork. So time wasn't really a factor. This is the monthly grind, so you get away with cheats, like no backgrounds. Look at this, big old head, and then the flash. So you don't really need a lot of details, that just, a lot of artist tricks. And here he is, that's Frenchie. Think of Frenchie as Moon Knight's Alfred. There's so many similarities. And they were mercenaries together, and they quit together, and now Frenchie is just like the dedicated Samwise Gamgee to Stephen Grant, Mark Spector, and here they're going off. I'm not even going to comment on these ads because I've seen them so many times. And there's the Mooncopter. This I like the one that's more crescent shaped better. This one, and I'm not an aerodynamic. I don't know which one's more aerodynamic or not, but I prefer the other one that it just looks like a crescent than the helicopter fills. It's just cooler. So here's Frenchie, piloting him. Stained Glass Scarlet puts on her robe, and there he is, like, look what I'm saying about the cheats. They're just using night to cover up all the details, and they're just using the lights of the police. So that's how he's seeing what's going on. And here's Mad Dog Fascinator just robbing liquor stores. He's just going on a rampage, and Moon Knight just jumps down. He uses this cape. And I think Batman does the same. He pulls on the cape. It's made out of some material. And I think there's supposedly strengthening wires inside it. So it acts like a parachute. So he lets go of his helicopter and parachutes and kind of glides down, gets some momentum, and just knocks into people. And, he's supposed to be silver. His costume is silver and then black from shadow. So it's not black. They just use black as shading. It's supposed to be like silver, almost like mirrored. And, of course, they're like, why do you want to be silver? And he's like, I want them to see me coming. He's like, I want them to focus on me. They focus on me, and pedestrians don't get hurt. So there you go. That explains that. So he's just beating the crap out of everybody. Swack, swack. Using nunchucks. And I tell you, when I was a kid, I thought nunchucks were the coolest thing. When I played my role-playing games, I wanted my characters to have nunchucks. They were so cool. So here Moon Knight is beating up everybody, but I think Mad Joe got away. So he's like, who's this? A woman? She's entering the grocery store. What blazes is going on here? So he sees a woman in a red cape. And I don't believe it was that Moon Knight character. It was unreal. They'll think they'll find us. Where's Joe? Where's Joe Fastener? She goes, no need for guns. Boys, just stay right there. Answer my question. Where is Joe? Easy, lady. We don't know. He split with the car. Honest. And who are you anyway? It doesn't matter. Just tell me where Joe is. You understand? And we know that's Joe's mother. So he's like, she's leaving. So now he's following. He's like, what's going on? She pulled this gun on people, and what does she want with Mad Dog? I don't know. But we got to get to the hideout. So he jumps in. Not so fast, boys. The doorway is becoming quite a busy place, and then he thwacks them again. Look at the backgrounds. Over here it works. That's the sidewalk. That's the tarmac. But over here there's really no excuse for that. But I guess whatever. It's just Bill Sienkiewicz is pressured for the monthly grind, and and this is it seems counterintuitive, but believe me, this is something that they're not doing in modern comics. Look at every panel. Each panel has its own color tone. And that's why this is orange. Why is this orange? Where are they that there's an orange background? Now the floor is orange, it's green, and now the background's pinkish, rosé, whatever. And now it's a different color orange. Like, why? Why do that? I'll tell you why. It makes each panel distinct. You separate each panel. Marvel and DC lately, I've noticed that they've been doing this crime where each color, and I understand why they're doing it, because they say they're in a field, so they make green, because it's just different angles in the same field. But then each panel kind of gets mushed together, and believe it makes the storytelling more difficult. So this is weird when you break it down and think about it, but it makes for better storytelling. It makes each panel pop out a little bit more. It's just a comic book thing, man. And I'm sure it's a movie thing. I'm sure the lighting, if you look at quick scenes, I'm sure the lighting has to be changed to give each scene a continuity, but at the same time a little bit of a difference. I'm not a movie guy. I can't even, I'm not even going to pretend to break down movie stuff like that. I have no expertise or anything in movies. Not that I haven't been an expert in comics, but I got a billion comics, so I like to think I know what I'm talking about with comics. So here he is. He beats everybody up. And here's a cheat. Moon Knight is Batman. Whenever they show the cape just wraps him up, it's just an easy way to draw. And it is cool looking, but it's just, that's easier to draw than doing a whole figure. So here they're flying to this church, and there's stained glass Scarlet. Like, I love this. She hears Moon Knight coming, so she reaches for the gun, and boom. Instead of a batarang, he has like a crescent dart, and it hits and sends the gun skittering on the table. And here he jumps down. And again, he's wearing the silver white costume, and it's reflecting the darkness, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to describe it. So he doesn't wear black. He wears, reflective white, reflective silver. And he comes, jumping down, and look at, I just love how he looks all 3D, and but the background is just this orange, and then she's just blue. A blob here. What is that? It looked like a face, but it's a plant. But I thought that was like a creature. I'm making myself laugh. So they're talking. He's like, "What are you doing? What do you want with Mad Joe Fasanera?" He goes, "He's my son." Your son, and now she's gonna go and tell the story. She was a nun. She worked in this church, and Joe's father came in, he's feeling guilty or whatever. He gives over the gun. She talks him into doing the right thing. They fall in love. They get married. And then he turns into like kind of a jerk. And here's the baby. And what are you doing? What are you doing? I got to go make money. He's going back to a life of crime. She thought she saved him. He robs a bank. Murder Rooney's this guy. And then the cops shoot him. And now Mad Joe, he's like, they killed my pa. They killed my pa. And I think she didn't have the heart to tell him what a crumb his father was. And now he's turning into a jerk. Pushing mom, going out with the lowlifes. Getting arrested. And, I just wanted to point this out. Notice the panels have this scratchy, thick line. Whenever they mess around with the panels, that usually indicates a break in time, because you see here we come back to the present, and it's nice, crisp panels. So Moon Knight's not a bad guy. Moon Knight's a good guy. He's sympathetic. This woman hasn't really broken any laws. I mean, unless you want to say pointing a gun at criminals, you know what I mean? But, who hasn't pointed a gun at a criminal, And now, so Moon Knight, he wants to help her. And in comes Mad Dog. So he's yelling and screaming, pulling a gun on his mom. What is that called? pistol whip. He's gonna pistol whip his own mother. Jeez, pistol whip his own mother. What a piece of junk. And then Moon Knight throws the like a billy club at him. Look at this panel, and then beats the crap out of him. Just beats the crap out of him. He's not quite freak. I've always traveled with the second piece, and he shoots Moon Knight. No, he get Bram. And as of now, in the shock of seeing the White Angel fall. Okay, here's Moon Knight. Here's Spider-Man using Twinkies. I would prefer Twinkies, but these are cupcakes. That's a good... If you don't have the Twinkies, the cupcakes are fine. Devil Dogs will suffice. Ring Dings will suffice. Anything but those god-awful fruit piles. So now she shoots her own son and breaks the... What? Wow, you can't. So now they both got guns at each other. Both crying, and she shoots. The son kind of wavers for a second. She shoots and kills her own son. And as fate would have it, he tugs on the rope, rings the bell, and what falls down? The stolen money from the father that he was looking for the whole time. Go figure. And here, in this pink panel that turns to yellow, she drops the gun, and she goes off into the darkness. And, Steven, you're back. So guns. So, he's shot, and she's just goes off into the Never Never. Empire Strikes Back. What is this? Oh, models. That's cool. That's pretty cool. And we got some Legos in the back. So here we go. This is like a gothic drama, told it's would it work? I don't know. Would people buy this in live action? I'm gonna take a sip of water. I don't know. Is this one of the things that can only work in comic books? Maybe it could work in a novel. I don't know. But I bought it. I loved it as a kid. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was literature. Again, the whole tone of this particular issue is grief and loss, and of course, it's an anti-gun. We got. It's no secret. Denny O'Neil hated guns. I don't know what Jim Shooter's politics were. I think he wisely kept his politics to himself. But Doug Moench, Bill Sienkiewicz, it's safe to say that most comic book creators are on the left, and the left don't like guns. That's fine, whatever. This story was handled tactfully. It was handled with skill, grace, and talent. So that's all I ask for. Whether I agree with your politics or I disagree with your politics, and I'm gonna try. I mean, I guess it's not too hard to see where I feel, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. I could agree with you. I could disagree with you. As long as it's created with skill, tact, and talent. So there you go. And I think it's funny that she's wearing green on the cover. I guess the colorist got the wrong memo. I've seen this many times. I never realized that before. But this is Moon Knight. I thought this was a wonderful series. The first 25 issues or so, it's just classic comics. Classic Marvel Comics. That is just top of its game. So good. Now, I don't know if the deterioration is after Denny O'Neil left, but like everything, it can't last. I look at comic books as I appreciate what we do have rather than get upset when things don't last as long as I wanted them to, because we had a couple of great years of this run. It is so good. But I realize now that I'm starting to ramble. So there you go. That's Moon Knight number 14, Stained Glass Scarlet, a classic. And thank you for taking time out of your busy day to listen to me ramble way too long about comics. But thank you so much. See you tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.